leave me a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from. I'm in Aliso Viejo, California. My name is Chalene Johnson. I want to know where you're watching from, and I'd also like to know, because today is such a special day and I'm filled with gratitude, I want to know what you're grateful for today. So leave me a comment, and then be sure to share this broadcast right away. I know we've just started live, and I normally don't ask you to share a broadcast right when I start. So let me first explain why we're here and what I'll be talking about so you can make a decision. And I do hope that you will share this broadcast, because what I'm going to talk about today is a movement that I would like to invite you and some very important people to join me in partaking in this. My name is Chalene Johnson, and I'm here today to share with you the details of something I've been working on for more than 2 years. Something that I've poured my heart and soul into, and something that's really, really important to me. Today I'm going to share the details of a new program that I will be launching to the public, that we're making the details of it public today for the first time after working on this kind of in secrecy for more than 2 years. Today I'm going to share with you what that program's about, the name of the program, and how it came to be, and how you can take part in this massive, massive opportunity, this massive movement. But I want to start with a story, and I want to talk to you about my own struggles with one word, and that word is diet. And if you can relate to that, if you too have struggled with diet, if you struggled with your weight, if you've struggled with figuring out how to get your body to cooperate with you at certain times in your life, I would invite you to share this broadcast, because I'm sure you've got friends who can relate. I grew up in the Midwest. You probably know that if you've followed me on social media. I grew up in Michigan. My family on both sides, everything centered around food. All family get-togethers, happiness, celebrations, everything was about food. But everything also seemed to, especially when we got together with relatives, the talk was always about diet. Which diet people were on, what diet so-and-so had lost all of her weight on, oh, so-and-so has gained all of her weight back. It was like all this talk was always about diet. I remember family members talking about diet like all the way back to when I was like maybe even 5 and 6 years old. I remember them talking about the different types of diet, like liquid diets, popcorn shrimp diet, cabbage soup diet. All my relatives talked about diet a lot, almost obsessively. And here's the irony in all of that. None of them were thin. They all struggled with their weight. Like there would be periods of time like where we would get together in the summer and we'd see like, oh, this aunt had lost weight or this cousin had gained weight. But no one was ever happy. Everyone was always really disenchanted with their weight. And so you know how kids are, like 2 kids can be raised in the same family, same environment, and they take away 2 different messages. The message I took away as a kid was like, diets are bad. Diets don't work. Diets like make you talk about it all the time. They make you unhappy. And I was looking at the results and I'm like, they aren't working. It just seemed like something I needed to avoid. So as I got older and started realizing like, oh, wow, I've got these genetics too. Like I'm not the skinny kid in class. I felt like a chubby kid. And all I knew was like, I'm not going to diet. I'm not dealing with that word. So I started trying to figure out, okay, so what am I going to do? And I discovered exercise. My mom started teaching jazzercise, and I would go to the classes with her. And I remember being surrounded by like all these women after classes who were really happy and they were fit, and none of them were talking about diet. They were all talking about how good they felt, and they seemed so happy. And so for me as a kid, I was like, oh, okay, so I could do this instead. I could exercise and I wouldn't ever have to diet. And I've been afraid of the word diet for most of my life because of that. And so I used exercise as my solution. That's what I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do instead of dieting. And even all my friends, as I went to college and then graduated from college, I mean, even so much as just 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago even, most of my girlfriends were always on some kind of a diet. And I always felt very triggered by that, like, there's that word again. So I just was like, I'm turning to exercise, and I did, and I exercised like a maniac, and it kind of worked. The only problem was, it's kind of a big problem, is your body, my body, our bodies were designed to adapt. So that meant the more I exercised, the more my body was like, okay, I know what you're doing. Oh, I see. You're burning more calories each day. Oh, I see. So we better slow your metabolism. In other words, the more I exercised, the more, and I didn't change my eating, the more I had to exercise because my body kept adapting to the point where I was exercising an hour a day, and then an hour and a half a day, and then 2 hours a day, and 3 hours a day. Which isn't always possible. Like, you live a life, like, you know, I have a business, I've got kids. There are periods of time where that just didn't work. An example of that was when I was writing my book, Push. You know, I had to have all these extra hours available to write my book, which means I didn't have 3 hours to exercise. I could only exercise like a normal person, which meant I was gonna gain weight, and I did. I gained weight writing a book that was geared towards people getting their lives in order. Why? Not because I was eating more and not because I wasn't exercising. I was. Problem was I was only able to exercise an hour a day. I had messed up my metabolism. So then I went back to exercising more and exercising more and exercising more. And I would look at other people in my industry and go, oh my God, look at them. They're so lean. Like, I can see their spleen and they're doing like really well. And so I guess I should be that lean. I guess I should have like muscles that striate and like, you know, all these crazy body parts that are sculpted. So, and I'm not gonna diet, so I'm just gonna exercise more. And that's what I kept doing until it pretty much imploded. And then I started like really getting irritable and cranky and showing all the signs of someone who was overtraining. I started getting brain fog. And again, it just, there were days I couldn't exercise 3 hours a day, so I started putting on weight and having all these symptoms where I just didn't feel like myself. You know, I was struggling with like, I could tell it was like a hormonal thing, and I was like, am I pre or perimenopausal? Am I going, is this my genetics? Like, is this, I just have to deal with the facts, like this is my genetics and I just have to deal with it. I started feeling like I couldn't remember things, like I just felt off, and I knew something was really messed up, and I just didn't want to go on a diet. So instead I went to a neurologist, and the neurologist explained to me that part of the problem was my diet. Again, diet. I'm like, okay, here's that word again. So instead of avoiding it, I decided to go, what if there's a diet for me? What if instead of going on a diet, I figured out like, how do I need to eat? And I started meeting with integrative medical professionals. I started meeting with doctors who had done research on metabolism. I started talking to hormone experts. I started talking to nutritionists and registered dietitians and started testing things on myself and getting amazing results and actually being able to exercise less. Because don't get me wrong, I love exercise. I just don't love having to be a slave to it, and I don't think many of us have 3 hours a day. I also love food, and it had become a scary thing to me. So as I started getting results, I started realizing like, hey, you know, like maybe the word diet has been screwed up. Like maybe we've ruined that word and it's actually a positive word. Maybe it's like a really good thing, but we each need our own diet. And so what if I could teach people to do what I'm doing, but like simplify it? Because for some people, diet feels complicated, and that's why we follow someone else's diet. So I started testing it. I started testing it with my staff. I started testing it with friends. I started testing it with a small network of people that I knew, and they started getting freaking amazing results, like blow your mind results. And they felt really good. They all kept saying, I feel so much better, like I feel freedom from food, and I don't have to exercise as much, and other symptoms started alleviating. So then I thought, okay, I'm gonna go on Facebook, and I'm gonna see if I can just test this with like just a little bit bigger group of people who don't know me, right? Like not my friends and a network of like associates, like people who like this becomes more random. And we tested it with about 200 people. And then we tested it with 1,000 people. And then we tested it with 2,500 people. And the results kept getting better and better and better. Not just that, but the way I could simplify the process of what people needed to do to follow along kept getting easier. Like people would say, yeah, it was great, but this, or this. And so I could keep tweaking, because that's my jam. You know, it's not about fitness, it's not about productivity. It's like, how can I, whatever the concept is, how can I simplify it for people? Because I've never been a great student, so I get that things need to be simple and easy to grasp. And so we kept simplifying the process, and people kept getting amazing results. People losing massive amounts of weight, and that's kind of like the bonus to it. What was really more exciting to me is the people who started having freedom from food and finally finding their solution. That was really exciting. And we kept testing this program. To date, we've tested this program with 20,000 people. 25,000 people. It's the biggest social citizen science experiment that I'm aware of. And one of the reasons why I wanted this to be like literally a scientific study, not just because, there's a million people out there, and you know them, who write diet books, who put diet crap out there because it worked for them, and it worked for them and about 15 other of their clients. I've seen clinical research that basically has taken a group of 40 people and told us, okay, well, this works for everybody because it worked for 40 people. No, that doesn't make any sense. We are so diverse. So I wanted this to work. I wanted to prove that this could work for old, young, people who didn't have weight to lose, people who were struggling with hormone imbalance, people who were struggling with eczema. I wanted to prove that this could work for anyone, for people who aren't interested in nutrition, for people who don't exercise, for people who do exercise, for people who don't want to lose weight, but they just wanted to feel good and wanted to feel better and wanted to heal their gut and wanted to heal their relationship with food. And that's why I didn't release this 2 years ago when I wanted to. It's why I didn't release it a year ago when I started talking to other partners about bringing this to the market, and they said, I think it just needs to be one diet. I don't think people want their own thing. And I said, all right, thank you, but no thank you. You're wrong. That's called the diet industry. That's why diets fail. Who wanted to also bear the truth. Not a fad, not one person's diet, your diet. Your diet, ladies and gentlemen, is a diet that will work for you. It's a diet that uses a method I like to call 1-3-1. And it's time to reveal the 1-3-1 diet. So team, if I can have you guys join me. Yay! Yay! Happy 1-3-1 day. I'm going to introduce my team. They're all here, including food, because this program isn't just about weight loss. It isn't just about food. It's about enjoying life, being able to celebrate food, being able to eat food that actually heals your gut, that actually allows you to celebrate life. And so I've got my team assembled around me. Say hi, everybody. So I've got registered dietitians. We've got a staff here that's been working around the clock. This is just part of our team. We've expanded twice this size, and